To have had a journey and people who were willing to support me all along the way in learning the next and trying the next thing is sometimes when I look, I'm like, it's really incredible what people have given me in my life. And I want to return that to others.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Mars B.
And Kavo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast.
Where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
To share their stories, expertise, industry insights, and strategies.
And we are sharing them all with you every single week.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting The Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development provides leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, and community development. If you are starting a business, growing or expanding your business, diversifying your customer base, or maybe you're looking for business trainings to attend to continue to learn and grow, they're excited and here to help. Even if you're thinking of relocating your company into Billings, they're a resource for you. BSED also provides resources for community development initiatives by planning, partnering, and managing projects and administering grants for redevelopment and placemaking. Their workforce development program brings together industry and education partners to anticipate and respond to community workforce needs. And they provide talent attraction and retention resources for your business to use under the community brand Better Off in Billings. BSED's Rock 31 program is focused on helping startups thrive. And in their location in downtown Billings, they have 2 floors dedicated to co-working and additional spaces throughout their building open to the community to host their meetings, events, and trainings. Visit bigsky.economicdevelopment.org. Again, that's bigsky.economicdevelopment.org or follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Today, joining us on The Vault is Karen Grosz. You may know her as your Monday motivational videos, an author, TEDx speaker, entrepreneur, business owner, and team builder. Welcome. We are delighted to have you.
Oh my gosh, I'm really excited to get to talk to The Vault ladies.
I know. We're really excited to talk to you today about quiet leadership and what's next. So excited. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
A resident at Rock 31. So it's great. Your office is just down the hall.
Yes. Big mentor for most of us.
Yeah. Right? I try.
I know. Yeah. I was like thinking about it. I was like, I mentor for like most of our team.
And role model plus lots of other things. So Karen, your experiences have developed into stories that you use to help people become leaders, individuals become high-functioning teams. But we know that it doesn't just happen overnight. So can you share some of that journey with us?
Yeah, I'd love to briefly tell you my story, or I could be really long and that'd take the whole hour. But
no, that's great. That's why we're here.
Right. So my journey really is one of self-discovery. I left school, and I don't know why I didn't know this, but I thought, I've learned everything I'm going to learn. I don't have to learn anything else. And then one day I was at a conference and they said, you're going to keep learning your whole life. And it was so exciting. I started taking every course available, reading every book, talking to every person I could, getting mentored by as many people as possible. And I call it doing my next, always trying the next thing. So I always have that next goal. I always have the next thing I want to learn. And the next thing I'm excited about, like AI. Right now, I'm so excited about AI. It's silly.
No, but it's an exciting thing. And I think to be excited about it instead of just speaking of AI, some people are scared of it. But it can be such a huge tool.
Yeah, it really can. And so that's how I've lived my whole experience, is just always trying to be excited about the next thing.
And so thinking of that, so you went to a conference, were inspired, but previous to that, what was it the same for you? Like you still were excited? Were there some moments where you look back and you're like, that was a what's next moment for me?
Yeah, great question. So the real story story is that my teacher, when I was a junior in high school, said I was too stupid to go to college.
Which is terrible.
Right.
Just like the worst thing to say to anybody.
Right. I ran into somebody the other day, though, who had the exact same experience. And I said, and I didn't go home and tell my parents. And he said, because they would have believed them. Oh my gosh. And so I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one who's lived this story, but I was terribly, terribly shy, tried to give a speech in high school, cried in front of, the class, joined Toastmasters, cried so hard people had to just hold me up and support me through the speech. So no, I've not always been this person. Didn't think of myself as smart, didn't think of myself as wise, didn't think of myself as worthy of goal setting. So to have had a journey and people who were willing to support me all along the way in learning the next and trying the next thing is sometimes when I look, I'm like, it's really incredible what people have given me in my life. And I want to return that to others.
Mm-hmm. So you had that was a stand-up moment for you. But who were some of those others that helped and get you through that?
The first one, my spouse is incredibly supportive. He's very, backstage type of guy.
He's awesome.
He is awesome. He is. I love to pick on him. And I say he's my seventh husband. It's all the same man, but he's the seventh husband. But he has every day, go try the next thing. What are you going to do? And this morning
he's your cheerleader.
He really is my cheerleader. Yes. No pom-poms, though.
No pom-poms.
I don't see it.
I'm thinking like Will Ferrell, like from SNL now.
Right? Yeah. Not too long ago, I was giving a keynote and I was telling a couple of the Paul stories and picking on him a little bit. And he peeked in the back of the room and I lost all my composure. I was just laughing so hard. And at the end, Paul had more people surrounding him than I did. So, yeah.
Set him up for success.
Right. So Paul truly was one of my really big supporters. And then, again, I mentioned him a moment ago, the two men at Toastmasters, I was, I was not ready for the world yet. Thrift store clothes, bad haircut, scared to death, went to Toastmasters. And when I gave my first speech that was supposed to be a minute long, I just grabbed the podium and I started bawling. And two men in three-piece suits who I wish I knew their names, but I don't. They knew my father-in-law. They both got up at the same time, put their hands on my shoulder. And one of them whispered, "You can do this," and got me through it. And
that's a big moment.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's a huge moment.
Right? For them to be intuitive enough to know that I was going to need that was really incredible.
And to be there, to get up and do that too, I think is so huge.
Right? To give that gift to people. And so I think all of the time when I am helping other people to grow, I think the impact that those two men had just because they wanted somebody to learn how to speak, that's absolutely an incredible gift to the world. And we all can do that. We all can find somebody and say, I'm going to help you here. I'm going to get you through this. Mm-hmm. And what a gift.
Absolutely. That is awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I love that story.
I love hearing that story over and over again.
Heard that. I don't know if I've heard that one.
I always think about that because I'm like, it's such a moment. Because, honestly, every time you probably have something that you're like, ooh, might be nervous or uncomfortable, you probably think of those hands on your back and you're like, no, I can do this. Just the encouragement that ricocheted throughout your life is just crazy. So.
Yeah, I really do think of it quite often, as a matter of fact. And I also try to do that, especially if I'm working with young leaders and they're nervous about presenting. I put my hand right in the middle of their back and say, you can do this. And so that influence of those two people that took 30 seconds out of their life to change my life has just had a ripple effect.
And had changed so many others' lives.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, wow. It's really, it's amazing what.
You got goosebumps.
So after Toastmasters, you get through Toastmasters, right?
Right.
You finish that, or I'm not sure how it works. I haven't done it, but and then where did that take you after you kind of built that confidence in yourself and trusted yourself to be able to speak in front of people? Because now you do that for a living with ease.
Yeah,
maybe not with ease, but it looks like
great.
Ease. So.
Yeah, it is. It is easy now. I love getting to talk to people and responding to an audience's response. Toastmasters, you're supposed to never finish, but I was like, okay, I've accomplished it. I'm gonna go. What's next? What's next? Always the question. And I wanted to do the hardest thing I could do and make a lot of money. And so money's not bad. So I started selling cars in Alaska.
Wow.
I knew where the gas went. I knew how to turn the car on, but I thought, I'm going to figure this out.
The important pieces.
Right. The important parts. If you clean it, it runs better.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's
Change the
outside, not
tires
inside.
sometimes.
Right. Tires. Yeah. That's my husband's job. Right. So I went into car sales. Absolutely would have starved in that business if it wasn't for a man named Dave Stein, who really understood people, understood car sales, and just helped me out. My favorite story from that experience is I had not sold a car. I was like 2.5 weeks in. I thought this was a dumb idea. Got in a car, middle of the winter in Alaska. It had been raining, snowing. It was a thing. And the couple was in the front seat. I was in the back seat, and I opened up the sunroof to show them how fabulous that sunroof was. Dumped 2.5 gallons of water in their laps. So I sat in the back, again crying. It's like a theme. I'm crying, and they bought the car. I know it was a pity purchase, and so
I would be happy. I wish I could make pity purchases like that.
Right. It was the right car for me. It was fabulous. But that started me out, and then I was trained by the Saturn Corporation, which you two are too young to remember that, but the Saturn Corporation changed car sales, and so I understood sales, which really helps you to understand people. And if you understand sales, you realize that everything in life is sales.
Yep.
Getting the kids to go to bed, introducing your spouse to the new couch you're going to bring home, all of those things. It's all a sales job. Why you deserve a promotion, it's all sales. And so I started sales and did direct sales, successful at that, worked with the company, learned all about career plans, helped write career plans for several companies, and how to train people with lots of travel, which is really what got me excited about this business, because now I get to travel, and I learned how to do that on somebody else's dime.
Which is great.
No,
I think that's
the best.
Especially if they pay for you and promote you and want you to do that for them.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And so that's when I really delved into leadership and what leadership meant, how to be a leader, and how I could help other people be leaders.
So you were great at sales, it sounds like. So in those roles that you had, did you oversee a team in any of those spaces?
Right. So I did in direct sales. Yeah. In car sales, I really was just selling all the time. And it was easy because if you look at my face, when you come into a car dealership, you're like, well, that person will never lie to us. They'll take good care of us. So that was easy. In direct sales, I oversaw a team or a region of 50,000 people that did $50 million a year in sales. So
wow.
it was a pretty big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money and a lot of people.
And a lot of people, yeah. And I in that project, I got to participate in a startup, and the startup went from 0 to 14 million in a year. That was an exciting ride, and it really gave me that entrepreneur bug. I already had it a little bit, but that was where I was like, oh, I want to go start something.
I want to go do that.
Yeah,
for myself, right? It's kind of something.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, how far off of then were you from that point in time to starting one of your companies?
So I worked for that company for several years. Thought, oh, I know everything now, which is my biggest fault. I'm like, I know everything. And the world's like, I don't think you do.
That's okay. You got to have some confidence.
Right. I'm going to go try the next thing. Right. Paul's supporting me. Everything's good. So we started a business here in town, which was called In Good Glazes. It was a ceramic studio. Got to know people here in town. My daughter was my business partner. It was so fun to do that with her. And then I left that fancy corporate job where I was traveling in first class, quite often sleeping in presidential suites. People treated me kind of like a rock star when I walked in the room. I was like, oh, this is boring. And, I should go find a new job. So I left for the absolute wrong job. And when I was in that wrong job, I truly hit my knees and said, you better show me what you want me to do next, because I chose the wrong thing here, and we could starve. It's back to, somebody please buy the car. And I said, I need to know, God, universe, whatever, you have to show me what I'm supposed to do. And I was given the inspiration for Canvas Creek at that very moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was like your aha.
Right. I was sitting in the ceramic studio watching two people paint on a cup, and I thought, well, you cheap people, we're never going to make a living like that. But what if I had teams of people paint together. And so that's where I got the inspiration for Canvas Creek. I thought of it on a Tuesday, tested with my family on Thursday, and my family was like, holy moly, this is amazing. You got to do something with this.
Wow.
So we tested with 20 people in a group on Saturday, and on the following Tuesday, we had our first paid event. So in 1 week, I had a business.
A team building business.
A team building business.
And you didn't have any team building really experience. I mean, like other than your corporate jobs and stuff like that, you were just kind of like, I know what kind of works. And so I'm going to teach people.
Yeah. I actually hated team building.
Like participating
Yeah. So I did it.
That's
a
so
lot,
fascinating. Yeah.
Right. I was like on team building day. Oh, I always was like, I'm sick. I have a client. I have something. I'm not going to be able to attend the team building. I just thought it was a waste of time. Often because it was a singular experience instead of a shared experience.
I was just about to say yours is a little different than everybody else's, and so when you go into that, you're having to be together and actually work through the problems, which will help you tackle problems within your own business.
Yeah, you are so, yes, you got it figured out. So I always say that there is experience, and that's what Canvas Creek is, where it changes from today. People call it a watershed moment, that we did this experience together and nothing was the same after that. Or there's an event. An event is we're going to, go drive go-karts together. There's no watershed moment in that.
Yeah.
So not too long ago, I put into ChatGPT, what's the difference between a team building experience and a team building event? And no kidding, it came up with words right off my website. And I was like, oh, I'm a thought leader here. That was exciting.
Like it sounds like it came directly from my website.
Yeah.
Is that where it was pulling?
Those are my words. But yeah. So I didn't like team building. I did it, but I didn't like it. And now, like, how can you not team build? Almost every news article, I'm like, oh, they need team building. We got to work with those people and fix what's going on.
And I think it's interesting coming in from and learning and getting to experience some of what you do and working with you more now here at Big Sky. But I always thought growing up, I was like, oh, one, adults have it all together. They don't. And then two, I'm like, oh, organizations, like they know what they're doing. They have their ducks in a row. No, they do not. So the things you do are so important for organizations to really thrive and take their bottom line and their team to the next level and grow.
Well, and build a healthy culture.
Right. And culture is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like you, thought people had it all together. And
me too.
And I have learned they do not.
They do not. I remember on my 28th birthday, that was so much harder than my 40th. On my 40th, I was like, woo, let's go. But on my 28th, I cried the whole day, again, crying. But I was so depressed because life wasn't perfect. I thought I would have the perfect house, perfect job, perfect weight, perfect clothes. And I did not, because I just thought by 28, you got it.
Oh, yeah, it just like appears. And I'm like, it does not.
Yeah.
Wishing for adulthood was not what I thought
now I understand why parents are like, stop wishing your life away. Like, just be a kid. And I'm like, I'd go back to that. Like, I'd be 7 again.
Me too. Ice cream bars at night.
Yeah, where my worry is like, oh, what are we going to be doing in school tomorrow? Macaroni necklaces or finger paints,
Right? Yeah. So I get to do that with team building.
Yeah, you're like, what are we going to do tomorrow? Macaroni necklaces or finger painting?
Right.
So in Good Glazes, did you keep that for a while? So you had both now. You have Canvas Creek Team Building, you have In Good Glazes.
Right? Yeah, great. Thank you for bringing us back. Macaroni necklaces. Yeah.
We'll get back to that in a minute.
So we owned In Good Glazes while I owned Canvas Creek Team Building. And then there was a point where my daughter said, I'm ready to go do something else. And so I just really focused in on it. We turned it into one of the busiest ceramic studios in the nation here in Billings, and we were able to sell it, which is always a really big deal when a small business is able to sell, and handed it over to some great people who decided not to keep running it after a couple of years. Mm-hmm. But it was a really cool business. And now every once in a while, especially during the holiday season, somebody will run up to me and say, we miss painting mugs for our family at Christmas. Aww. One lady was really mad. She kept giving me the eye, and I'm like, do I know you? And she said, yeah, you've ruined my Christmas. I was like, oh,
it's a lot of pressure.
Right? And I said, what happened? She said, well, we don't get to have In Good Glazes anymore. We don't get to give gifts like that. And I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
That we missed that. Mm-hmm. But that we built something that was so cool, people still talk about it.
And they still think about it, have such core memories there.
Right? Yeah. And so In Good Glazes made it possible for me to actually know people in Billings, because I had been traveling we moved here for my corporate job. I'd been traveling and didn't know anybody, but In Good Glazes introduced me to the community. And then Steve with Big Sky EDA was one of the early adopters of Canvas Creek. It was, I think, our first year, and you were brand new in the job, I think, Marcelle.
I wasn't here yet.
Oh, you weren't even here? I was thinking you were there for the first time. Yeah.
Nope.
So
Because we had it, and I don't remember. I'm like, I wasn't with the team yet.
But anyway, Steve was one of my early adopters and said, this is kind of cool. This is different. Helping to build your culture, which is something we've been working on consistently with your group. Building culture.
And I think that's something that every business should understand is you don't just get it created and your culture is great and it stays that way. Like it is just like a relationship. You have to continue to nurture and grow it. And, that is one of the biggest things is it's going to change, like culture changes. And so you have to be able to go with it. And so continuing team building is important.
Okay. So how amazing is it for you, Kayla, to have enough experience now in the world to have gone from macaroni necklaces to being able to understand that culture is ever shifting, right?
Yes. That you said it much better, ever shifting. Mine, I stumbled over my words, but no, it is awesome to know that because it's not just work though, that you have culture. I mean, like how you represent yourself in any relationship, you have a culture within different friend groups with different associates, your work, your family. And so it's constantly changing and growing. And so just being aware of that and then having that, I'm going to grow with it, attitude has been really helpful for me. So.
Which it sounds like, so you did a TED Talk in 2015, which now culture is like just a really top of mind buzzword. It's an important word, but you hear it a lot more now, I think, than you did pre-COVID. Like it's organizational culture. But you did a talk about innovative team building, which is kind of like culture related in 2015.
Right.
Can you tell us more about your TED Talk?
Yeah. So,
and that whole experience, what led you to do it?
Yeah, thank you. So there's really a kind of cool tie-in that I don't think you know. I love TED Talks. I just love, again, that learning. What's next? What can I devour? What can I learn? And Amanda Stonerock called me one day and said, hey, we'd like for you to apply to do a TEDx. I knew Amanda, but I didn't really know her. And so I went through that TED experience with she and the team. It was held at MSUB, and we got to know one another a little bit, probably not nearly enough. And the day of the event, I had planned exactly what I was going to say. And then I didn't get to say those words, and the PowerPoint didn't work. And the person who was on the stage ahead of me she'd had quite a traumatic experience. Oh, we're going to talk about crying again because she came off the stage crying. And I was like, oh, right. But I went out and did this TED Talk and just talked. Instead of being over rehearsed, I just talked about what I was passionate about. And almost every single day, somebody comments on that TED Talk. I get a message about it. People buy Canvas Creek because of it, because we were talking about something, gosh, that's so many years ago now, but it's so relevant that you have to stop and look at the world in a different way. And so the TED Talk really was an opportunity to look deeper at what I was doing, and it meant the world to me. Yeah, and now, what's cool, if your listeners might not know, but Amanda Stonerock is right next door to me here at Rock 31, and it's really cool to watch her grow her new business, Stonerock. Oh my gosh,
Business Solutions.
Stonerock. Thank you, Kayla.
Yeah,
Stonerock Business.
I think SBS because Stonerock Business Solutions, and so I see her logo in my head all the time.
Right. So it's cool that somebody that barely knew me, again, like the Toastmasters, cheered me on and just had this huge impact on not just my world, but others. I've worked with companies as large as Walmart, all because Amanda helped me to do a TED Talk. Isn't that cool?
That's amazing. I had no idea. That's amazing.
I had no idea, that you guys had known each other back then either.
Yeah, she's one of those people who just has had incredible influence, and I think I take it for granted. So thank you, Amanda.
We'll make sure to tag her in this.
Yes.
Well, you've written 2 books on these topics, and so one is What's Next, and the other one is Quiet Leadership, and Quiet Leadership is your most recent book. But you talk about being a voracious learner and started chasing your next. So what led you to write that book? What of those moments that you've had that you were like, I'm going to write a book now?
So When I left the corporate job, every once in a while my head can get a little too big and the universe has to remind me that I'm not all that. And when I left the corporate job, I thought, I have all these fans. I'm going to write a book and they'll all buy it. I sold 10. So that book was called What's Your Excuse, which is a great story, a great book, and it's a great question. You can either have an excuse for failure and an excuse for success. And then so many people started watching my success that they were asking me for help, and I thought I'll just hand them the book instead. So I wrote What's Next, which is it helps people to figure out who they want to be, what they want to, where they want to go, and tells my story. But then we got to the pandemic, which that was such a moment in our world, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I was a little bit lost. Team building was not a thing during the pandemic, so I was doing a little bit of consulting, but I had plenty of time on my hands.
Yeah, you really had to pivot because your business was getting groups of people together and working them through this team building experience.
Right, and I lost every single team building event on my calendar on one morning.
Oh my gosh.
Because everyone was like, and just looking back at that whole experience, I'm like, wow, we all really went through
That was a crazy,
very
weird
interesting
time.
where we are wiping our groceries down. We won't see our friends. It was
We're
bizarre.
Zooming for coffee like dates.
Right, it really taught us how much we need connection,
Yes.
didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And more people than ever, like, hit the hiking trails and things like that. I couldn't believe how many people were outside, but you tighten your mask when you walk past them, like, don't give me your
for
turn.
fear that you'll get COVID.
Right. So I was watching the world and thinking that there was a lot of arguing going on, and I have just a very peaceful element that runs through me, even though I'm gregarious. I am all about peace and quiet, and I thought what we need right now is quiet leadership. And some of the stories I had been trying to incorporate into What's Next, but they never fit. And when I put them in quiet leadership, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a thing.
Yeah.
A quiet leader really is what we need. It's more listening to one another, less rioting, more collaboration, and just taking care of one another in a new way. And so it really resonated with people then, and it continues to really resonate. It's by far my biggest seller and sells books every single day, which is exciting.
That is really exciting. And I like it because it's broken out in different stories. And I love your stories.
And can you talk to us a little bit about more in depth about the book? So if people are listening and maybe they haven't heard of your books yet, just how you've written them in the way that you did and why you did that.
Yeah, thank you.
Because they're more unique and they're fun and they're great to read.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I wrote them to be very simple and very quick because we like to move fast now, right? And so quiet leadership especially, it's designed so that you can just say, universe, what should I read today? And you open up the book and there's always a story that you can read. And they're 3 to 5 minutes long, most chapters. And so most chapters are wrapped around the idea that there is a story, something that happened in my world or somebody who said something. So I tell the fun part of the story. And then there is a leadership lesson. How do you apply this as a leader? And it's very interesting that I see people who are teenagers learning to be a leader reading this book, as well as seasoned leaders are reading the book and referring to it over and over. I heard just this morning that you should read books you like at least 3 times because every time you read it, you get something different from it. Now, I'm a one and done person, and so that was amazing to me, but I have so many people who said, yeah, I keep it on my desk and I read it every single day. So it's simple lessons. Some of them are funny. I love to tell them from stage because people just laugh.
Yeah.
But there is that lesson that your dad told you something, like my dad said, people don't listen unless they ask to be told. And it really made me stop and think I talk too much and I need to ask more questions. And so that's kind of stories that are in the book.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the ones that really stick out to you? You work a lot with leaders. You're a thought leader yourself. That are some of those, top leadership things that stick out to you every time you talk about leadership, which you talk about it a lot.
I do talk
so
about
what
it a
I'm,
lot.
what are some of those things that you think are important for people that are aspiring leaders, maybe have been leading a team for a long time, but are just good reminders to think about?
Well, I think the big one is to ask 3 questions before you make a statement. It's in the chapter called Oh, Karen, and it was when my dad said, oh, Karen, people don't listen unless they ask to be told. And it really, when you stop and you ask somebody, how would you solve this problem? What are you thinking about? What What does this mean to you? What can I help you with? It changes conversations. I think that's really important. The other one, I should have asked you if I could say this ahead of time.
You can.
Okay, good. The other chapter that people always want to hear, like often when I'm doing a keynote, I'll just pass out books and say, you guys pick what you want me to talk to you about. And the one that always comes up is bullshit. So bullshit is the chapter that talks about not letting other people's bullshit get stuck to you. And as leaders, we do that. We take on their problems, we take on their worries, we take on what they're unhappy with, we take on their projects that are undone, and we stick them to ourselves. We're like, I'll just carry this around all day. And you can't do that. You have to ask people if they want counsel, if they want commiseration, or if they want to just be stuck in where they're stuck. That's a really big one. Don't let their stuff weigh you down as a leader.
I think the bullshit though is like very relevant at any stage, because
Right.
I'm thinking, I'm like, oh yeah,
Right. It's relevant
read
in
that.
relationships even, right? We, our friends were like, oh, I'll just take all your problems. The first time I had 3 friends get divorced at once, well, not the first time, the only time I had 3 friends get divorced at once, I gained 15 pounds. All of them lost weight. I gained weight. I'm like, oh, I'll just take your problems and stick them right to me. It was not good. So we do it in relationships. We do it at work. And then the dead cat is really, I actually learned this from somebody else who said, some people just carry around a dead cat and they're like, see what happened to me? This was my problem. And they show it to everybody and nobody wants to see it. You got to put it away, deal with it.
Bury it.
Bury
Probably.
it. Right. If you want to have that dead cat, just proudly say, this is mine, but don't keep showing it to us because we don't need to see that.
we don't need. That's
Right.
good. That's
Right.
really good.
People are going to hear these titles of these chapters and be like, I have to pick up this book.
We're like, what page is that on?
Right. The other one is Scared to Death, which Scared to Death is probably my favorite story in the book. And I'm not going to tell the ending of it here because you just got to read it.
Okay.
But Scared to Death is all about how sometimes we're just so scared we don't know how to move forward. And it's usually because we want to be scared. Like, oh, I like this stage. I was at a meeting the other night about public safety, and there were so many people in the room saying, I'm scared. I don't leave my house. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't be that scared of the world. You're going to be okay. So scared, you just like to be scared. You don't have enough information. Quite often when we're scared of a new situation, like me in Toastmasters, I didn't ask enough questions. Will these people throw tomatoes at me?
Like, why am I feeling that I feel scared?
Right. And what will this experience really be like? Will
Yeah.
they, are they going to throw things or what's it going to be like? I should have asked more questions. And then finally, we don't just take time to ask for support.
Yeah.
So often what we're scared of, we don't have the information. We don't ask for support. And in that chapter, there's a surprise ending to it that I love to tell from stage. And
It
anyways,
is one of my favorites. I
Do
have
you
to
like that
say,
one?
it is completely worth it. It gives me a hearty chuckle every single time. So
I'm glad. I'm so glad. Yeah, there's so many chapters that I love, like Kitchen Duty, all about you'll hurt yourself until you decide you don't want to hurt yourself anymore. It's good to remember about the people that we're leading. So it's just good, simple, you get what you expect lessons. for people.
Digestible, easy to
Yes,
read. So
easy to read.
what about that was Quiet Leadership for those listening. That's the Quiet Leadership book. What about those that they're looking for that what's next, or they're inspired by that, or they've been thinking that themselves? What are some of those pieces in that book?
Yeah, I feel like you have to have a next every single day. You have to have something that you're moving towards. So what's next takes you through how to set goals, how to achieve those goals, how to invite other people in. Like in Quiet Leadership, I talk about hitchhiking, which is a great story about you.
love that one.
I
You
like that one too.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you guys have enjoyed the book.
I was like, I didn't realize that. I just love all your stories.
Oh my gosh.
Or I guess I knew I loved all your stories, but like every single one that you said, I was like, yeah, I know that one. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah, I like that one.
It is so fun to talk to you guys because you do know that. I appreciate that. So in What's Next, I talk about how important it is to say to someone, this is where I'm going. And I've done this with rooms full of people, a couple thousand people in the room, 20 people in the room. And when you stick your thumb out and you say, my next goal is, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to get to do it. Somebody in the room will say, I can help with that. I know somebody who can help with that. I'll support you with that. For me, that just happened. I stuck my thumb out at a meeting and said, I want to learn how to weld. And there was a man who said, I own a welding company. come on over. So now I'm a welder.
I love it.
It was so cool. But so that's what I talk about. And what's next? You have to do that. Stick your thumb out and say, this is what I'm trying to do. And people will say, just like you just did, I love that. How can I support you?
Yes.
Right.
Because they want to. I think people deep down want to be helpful or connect you to someone that they know that does that, like the welder. It was like, my dad welds, but he doesn't live here, so that wouldn't be helpful to you.
Well, and
I travel
4 hour drive one way. Yeah.
And we talk about this with entrepreneurs and small business owners all the time, is just ask and let people know what you're doing, because people want to help. I mean, and that it doesn't need to be lonely. And people can feel that being a small business owner or an entrepreneur can be a very lonely experience, but it doesn't need to be. I mean, all these other small business owners and entrepreneurs want to get together with like-minded individuals. They want to support one another. They want to get out there and move their business forward, and other people are so willing to help them. So it is, stick your thumb out, and you'll be surprised at who comes up and helps. So.
Yeah, as my business grows, some days I think, I'm going to have to find my next office space. But I cannot imagine leaving a place that's this helpful, because we really do. We stick our thumbs out. We're like, I had a bad day. I lost a contract. I got a contract. And other entrepreneurs wrap around that.
Yeah.
The other place that I see that happening, I'm a very big social activist in kind of a quiet way. But we have a page that we started a few years ago called I'll Help Billings. And people, especially fosters, people who have foster children, homeless people, anybody who's just kind of living on the edge and trying to figure it out, goes on that page and says, I need diapers, I need gas, I need whatever it is. And the community says, I'll help with that. We have 8,000 members.
Wow.
It brings on 3 people who want to help to every person who doesn't, or who needs help. And if we just remember that as a society, that there are 3 people who want to help me, if I just stick my thumb out and say, this is what I need, I think we would just be so much happier and do things so much faster.
And they just ask, which Facebook's a great way. I see that a lot with people. If they're like, hey, I need a plumber, or little things, and everyone's like, oh, use blah, so-and-so. And I think they want to be helpful and share those connections when they see someone in need. So you're really involved in our Billings community in so many different ways. And one of those ways is you write for the Yellowstone Valley Woman magazine. And we've had Julie on. She's great.
It's a blast.
Isn't she amazing?
She is. She's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her story was really fun. But you wrote an article, or they interviewed you, something like that. But you were talking about the power decision. And, I just was hoping maybe you could provide us some insight into what is the power decision? Because I saw it and I was like, we have to ask her about that, because I feel like it intertwines with the quiet leadership, what's next,
It does.
Canvas Creek team building.
Right? So the power decision is any really big decision you make. Like, Kayla, I'm going to use one of your decisions. You decided, I'm not going to eat gluten anymore, right? And as soon as
Well, my body also made that decision for me, but but yes, yeah.
Right? Thank you, body. Right? But as soon as you say, okay, I'm not going to eat gluten anymore, all of these other decisions just fall into place. Okay, I won't order the bread. I won't, right? All the decisions are there. And so when you make a power decision in your life about, I'm going to be wealthy, or I'm going to be thin, or whatever that power decision is, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. For me, it was, I'm going to be happy. When you make that power decision, everything else falls into place. So if it doesn't fit your mission of being gluten-free, of being happy, of being wealthy, then you don't do it, and you just weigh it against that power decision. So, and the power decision does not have to be gigantic. Sometimes it's just, I won't drink wine this month. But you make the power decision, and every other decision falls under it. And it's easy because you've done it.
Well, yeah. And I'm going to be happy. You just sit there and go, is this going to make me happy? No. So I don't have to do it.
Right?
Right? So
That's really good.
So it makes it a lot
really like
easier when
that.
it's something that is very important to you.
Right. And so I make every decision based on that. Will that help me to maintain my happiness? Because my happiness is what I try to give the world. I'm never the smartest person in the room, but I can be the most cheerful person in the room.
Yes.
Yeah. And help us look at things in a new way.
I really like that one. Even if people needed to write it down somewhere in their desk or at home on the mirror or something, just so that they're like, there's a daily reminder.
Right.
Of that, just to
It's my
think of like,
decision.
no, I'm intentional. I'm thinking I'm not doing that, or I am doing this other thing today.
Right. One of my friends has done just that and wrote, I will be happily married. And because some days it's hard to be married. You're like, that's why I've had 7 husbands. Right. Love you, Paul. Always the same guy. But you have to decide, I'm going to be happily married. And then you're going to put every effort into being happily married. Right. Or I'm going to be the best employee at work. And you'll put every effort into being that. I'm going to be the best employee at work.
That's really good. I really like that power. Thank you for describing that, because I saw it and I was like, we have to ask her about that, because I think that it's really helpful to anyone listening, whether it is personal, professional, as you're starting a business or you're leading a new program, things like that.
Yeah, one of the people who really reinforced it for me probably should be on your show too, Sarah Townley, who is
she's awesome.
Oh my gosh, a health coach. She is so amazing, and she just helped me really reinforce that question of, what is your power decision today?
Yeah, she's very insightful.
Yes.
I really enjoy talking with her.
Yeah, isn't she
and I
amazing?
know how she has all the energy that she has. I give her huge kudos.
Fasting.
Oh, fasting.
Yeah, she is. She is the most amazing faster I've ever known.
Kudos to her.
Yeah, kudos.
And I want to swing back and say kudos to Julie. Julie is actually one of the stories in Quiet Leadership, and that her chapter is giving voice to community. Because look what she's done for our community by just saying, look at this person.
And the things they've helped with, like the buy a mug, we bought one of
the
her
Love
cups.
and Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just those little initiatives that make such a big impact to those people that are involved. And sometimes, I think even when when we're sponsoring things or doing things like that, it's like, where can this amount of money make the most impact? And I think everyone's just buying this $25 cup with the straw base. It's a beautiful cup, by the way. But all of us doing that then helps and allows them to make a really big impact in that way. And so just what she's doing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right.
And highlighting women in our community that are doing really big things too.
Right.
Huge.
Right. I think that's what we forget, you guys, is that our little effort, it doesn't matter if it's a mug or buying somebody diapers, just our little effort has big changes in the world.
And on that person or people that you're helping. I mean, that impact that you have is so life-changing for them in so many ways, even if it's just diapers for someone that needs them.
Right. If all you did is say, I noticed you, that changes people's world.
Absolutely. We're going to take a second and hear a word from our sponsor. Thank you to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The Small Business Development Center offers free personalized support from business plans to financial projections and beyond, empowering small businesses to thrive. Reach out to us at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org. All right, welcome back. So I wanted to touch base. You're a busy woman. I mean, you're a national speaker, a team builder, business strategist, mentor to lots of small businesses. You're community minded. You're out there doing lots of different things all the time. How do you manage it all? Like, what do you do to keep yourself going and organized?
And you're an entrepreneur, so what are those detailed tools, little things, routines that you do?
So first, I think organized people are just too lazy to look for their shit. Yeah, great question. I do get to do all of these wonderful things, partly because I have a really good support team. Paul is very helpful, takes care of a lot of things. I'm incredibly dedicated to my sleep. I have got to get my sleep or it's just not going to happen, right? I also weigh everything that I do against my mission. Is this going to help me further my mission? Is it going to keep me happy? Is it going to help further taking care of people in the world, which is what I'm trying to do. I also had to develop a way to figure out what my priorities are. And I really worked on it hard this winter. And I've actually considered turning it into an app. I've developed a new priority setting system that I call Grosz.
Grosz.
I'm intrigued.
I like it.
Right?
It sounds fun.
Right?
Grosz.
I've been trying to find one for myself, so this is
Go.
great.
So here you go. So you'll see it when you come in my office. I always have one hanging on the wall. So a Grosz is where you just throw out everything. You just Grosz. Everything you need to do, everything you could do, all of those ideas that are in your head. Because in order to do everything I do, there's a lot of stuff going around,
on,
right? But there's as many things that I say no to. So the first thing you do is write it all down. You Grosz it. And then you get to say GAC.
Grosz and GAC?
And GAC. And so GAC is, I'm really not going to do that. I don't care. I'm not interested. You have to be honest and say, I'm not going to do that. Because a lot of times the things that are stuck in your head, you're like, I should run a marathon. Really?
Not going to do that.
Not going to do it. Right. So you have to GAC it and say, honest to goodness, I'm not going to do that. So you cross it off. And then you figure out what you can give away. I have a great support team. A couple marvelous coaches that work with me, some social media people that do some of the things for me, and I decide who I'm going to give it to, who's going to help. So delegation is incredibly important, and then what's the goal date when we do it, and whatever the notes are, and taking it through first the really big, this is everything I could do in the world, into what am I going to do this month, what am I going to do this week, what am I going to do today. That's what helps me to get so much done.
And how often do you do that? Like with the whole big list and then you narrow.
Right. So minimally, well, I try to do it at the first of the month. Everything that's in my head, I look back at last month's Grosz and say, how much of these are gacs? Because I didn't really do them. What am I still working towards? And then every day I have just a little mini Grosz of this is everything that's in my head. And this is what really has to get done. And it doesn't all ever get done. When you're an entrepreneur, you can stay up all day. So I have probably the most important thing I have as an entrepreneur is times when I will not work. And I had to train myself that, but you have to shut it off. And so when I walk in the door at night, it is shut off unless there's a really important event. So I'll like from 5 to 7, there's nothing happening that's work-wise. Then I'll jump on a Zoom call for a board that I'm mentoring from 7 to 8, and then I shut it off again. But you have got to be really clear about, I don't work on this day.
Well, yeah, because you got to find that work-life balance as an entrepreneur because it could easily become your whole entire life.
Right. When I worked on the startup project, I was getting up at 2:30 in the morning, working on the startup from 2:30 to 6:30, running, going and getting my exercise, taking a shower, and being back at my desk at 7:30 so that I could start the day.
Yeah.
And man alive, it just burnt me out.
Sleep.
Killed my soul. Yeah. And I wouldn't be a happy person if I didn't get my sleep and go sit with my friends.
I think that's really important for anyone that's working or doing things because I think that, yes, especially entrepreneurs, because you're who everything's riding on is yourself. But I think in the workplace too, you can see it play out in negative ways if you're not careful in setting those times because it's easy now with phones and we've had phones for a while, but it's all right there. People can text you and email you and setting those boundaries of
absolutely. Boundaries are so healthy in every relationship of your life. So
right. And pragmatism. That's probably my biggest value is pragmatism of, does this really matter? Is the earth going to end because I, don't.
Right. Is your emergency my emergency?
Yes. Right. And just being pragmatic about it and also being able to say, it's okay. I failed there. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dishes aren't done. It's okay.
It's okay.
Moving on.
Paul does the dishes. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. That's great. So as an entrepreneur, what are some of those really fun things that you enjoy and keep you as an entrepreneur? Because you had that corporate job, you were just more of a brick and mortar business owner, and now as an entrepreneur, what keeps you there and what keeps you inspired and excited about being an entrepreneur?
Do you know what I did yesterday?
I would love to know.
I had a great hike in the morning. The sunset was freaking amazing. It was like walking through cotton candy. It was so pink for a while.
Oh, wow.
Right. And then I went home, visited with Paul for a little while, and went for a 90-minute massage that turned into almost exactly 2 hours because she's amazing. Went home, had a little shower, went to lunch with one of my clients who paid for lunch. His name is Paul. Thank you, Paul. And not my Paul, it's another one. Paid for lunch, and we had wine with lunch. And I came back and worked here for a little while, and then I was like, I don't have it. I've had wine. I'm not going to be good for anything else. And so I took the rest of the day off. That's the really cool thing about being an entrepreneur, that you get to live your life at the speed you want to live it. So this morning, I was at my desk at 5 o'clock in the morning, picking up some of the stuff that I didn't do yesterday. But you get to make that decision of, I'm going to go like crazy here, and then I'm going to have a 90-minute massage over here.
Yeah.
Right? That's the really cool thing. So when I think about taking a corporate job again, I actually I shiver. I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Because they might want me to be at my desk from 8 to 5. And it was beautiful when it was beautiful, and I love that people get to do that because you have a routine. I don't have a routine like that. I have a different routine, but it's not, I work from 8 to 5. And so I cannot do it. Mm-hmm. I cannot. I love making my own decisions.
I think that's great.
And wine with lunch. I don't do that very often.
It's European.
Right.
I mean, wine lunch, late to work, early out. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But then when I'm working, holy cow, I'm working long
5 a.m.
Right. Mm-hmm. But I love what I'm doing. And I think that's important to entrepreneurs. Often
Yeah.
We start things because the money would be better. If I was going to restart a business, I would go into a service industry business, something like Newman Restoration or right, something where other people are making money for you and it's a service industry. I'd probably do that, but I wouldn't love it the same. I love watching a team transform in front of me. And so I'll get up at 5 a.m. and I still will be working at 9 o'clock tonight because I have a late board that I'm working with in Colorado. Mm-hmm. So I'll be working with, it's a long, long day, but every minute is joy.
I love that.
It's really
so
special.
now that we've talked about the joyful, fun parts of being an entrepreneur, what are some of the harder parts?
Did I mention 5 a.m.?
5 a.m. till 9 p.m.
Right. I'm a morning person, so I'm good at 5. The hard parts are saying no.
Yes.
That is, see?
Yeah.
Right. Saying no is hard. Just balancing money all of the time, making really careful decisions around money. I'm an optimist, and so everything is going to work out every single time. That's not always true. Mm-hmm. So that is one of the hard parts. And firing people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The first time I fired somebody, he laughed. Because he thought I wasn't serious.
Oh, no.
I'm like, oh, no.
I am very serious.
Yeah, I am very serious. And then I did bullet coffee for a while, which I don't know if you guys remember when that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do not do caffeine. All of this is caffeine free. But I thought, I'm going to try bullet coffee. It's changing people's worlds.
Is that the one with butter in it?
Butter.
Okay.
Yes, butter and coffee. It tickled my brain so bad that it was an aggravant, and I fired 3 people. But one of them I shouldn't have.
Oh, no.
But generally, making that decision that you're going to let somebody go is really hard. Mm-hmm. Really, really hard because it changes their life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll probably be one of those memories that they'll always hold on to as like one of the worst times of their life.
Right. Right. But I always want to be one of their best too, because, they can go do the next thing. So
exactly.
I try to do it nicely.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think Toby talked about that in one of the episodes, like hire slow, fire fast, because those you can't have if they're really not a good cultural fit. Maybe they're a great cultural fit for someone else.
Yes.
It's just not what you're trying to do. And you can't let that bring your whole, and especially when your team is small, ours is even small. Can't let that tank you.
Right. Yeah. If they're not doing the work, they are not doing the work.
Or they just don't have the same vision.
Right.
And I think that's something that people are just like, maybe they do come in and I have a drawing I make, a boat with, actively engaged. Then you have your disengaged and then your actively disengaged employees. And if they just, maybe they're just disengaged employees. They don't have the same vision. They're not going to put any extra effort into your business. They really just are there for their paycheck and they're just going to do the minimal work to get there. That might not be what you need. You need those actively engaged people that are going to be like, I believe in your program, your process. I want to go out there. I want to help the people. If you have somebody who's like, I don't really care about people, it's probably not right fit for your team.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah. So I always would say try team building first. Because sometimes people aren't engaged because they just don't get it or they just don't know what their element that they're giving to the team is.
And how it goes to the larger mission.
Right, how it goes to the larger mission. And so when you do something like Canvas Creek and somebody realizes that, I just stood back here and stirred paint and it turned gray, but that little gray splooch became incredibly important on this canvas. It helped to finish this for the team. They might get engaged at that point, but if they don't, then you're done. Yeah. And there's human kindness, right? Sometimes you're not engaged because your dog's sick.
Yeah.
But it is work. You're supposed to be there to work.
Yes.
That's the old lady in me. We work because we work.
Because money's nice.
Yeah.
Money is nice, yes.
It is. Karen, it's been so much fun chatting with you today. And we like to end each episode with 3 rapid fire questions. So we have some newer ones that we've added. So I'm just going to jump right in.
Okay.
What are your red flags?
Red flags. Oh,
yes.
Helplessness.
Oh, I love that.
Laziness. That is another red flag. Helplessness and laziness. Those are the big ones.
Yeah. That's good. Like damselly kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to dinner one time with somebody who couldn't order her own meal.
Ooh.
I didn't go twice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know if I could have done that either.
No. And if anybody ever thought I was lazy, I'd just be shocked. And I think, so the other red flag would be just not wanting to share your gifts with other people. Like, let's take care of people a little bit. Let's go on the all help page and help. And there are people who step over homeless. I'm like, no, I'm done with you because you're not helping.
Help.
Yeah. Help is important. Yeah.
Help is important.
All right. What is some advice that you have for maintaining quality friendships when you're a really busy person?
So the cool thing about my business is if you introduce me to somebody who's in Anaheim, for instance, and they need team building and we go there, you get to go along and we get to have a really cool dinner. So I like to take my friends along with me. Bring them along beside me to do the work I'm doing. Probably that's the biggest thing that I'm doing right now to maintain friendships.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and sometimes people work with me for an hour, sometimes it's a day. The alley project that we did here, so many of my friends showed up to do that. So that's part of what I like to do is just bring them along. But the other thing is really listen to them. Just if I am going to go and have coffee with you, I'm going to sit and look you in the eye and listen to you.
Be present, yeah.
Which was not always my gift, but now it is. If I'm taking time for you, you're important, and I'm going to pay attention.
I love that.
That's really nice.
That's awesome.
Even if it's not every day, every week, it's like when you're very intentional about that time.
Right. Yes.
Which is important.
Yes. Yeah.
So what are some of your non-negotiables in business and life?
We're giving you really easy ones.
Yeah. No, I want the details.
Right. So a non-negotiable for me, the very first one would be loyalty. I'm going to be loyal to you. It's both a fault and a really good character trait. As soon as you're not loyal, I am done. So loyalty would be a really big non-negotiable. It's gonna go both ways. Another non-negotiable would be being creatively open to change. And by that, I think of Adam Grant's book, Think Again, which I should put on my list of amazing books. But in Think Again, you have to be willing to say, maybe what I think I know is not right. And you have to be able to creatively look at a solution, look at the world, and change things. And if somebody's not willing to do that, I'm not interested. You have to be able to look at both sides. You also have to like Canvas Creek. If they just don't like Canvas Creek, I'm like, okay.
I can't.
Gotta get you out of
Written
here.
off. Right? No, that's really good.
Right, and I think it's a fault. I'm like, I should be nicer, but truly, if they're like, and I'm okay with people saying, well, I don't know if I want to do it. But if they ever dissed it, I'm done.
No,
Because that's, you built that.
I built that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like someone saying they don't like your kid.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah. That would not go well.
It's
No,
non-negotiable.
exactly. So
Right? Yes. Yes.
So Karen, where can people find you?
Great question. You guys, this is so fun. Thank you. You're so
Oh, yeah,
professional
yeah.
at this. CanvasCreekTeams.com is the best place to find me. Dialing me up on my cell phone, which you'll find up there, is great. Facebook, LinkedIn, I have a team that's doing amazing work up there, and I'm on all kinds of cool podcasts because of that. So yeah, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Your Monday videos go out on those platforms, which are
we didn't talk about Monday
amazing.
videos. Those are my little gift to the world. Monday
Yes.
videos.
And you can sign up for
they're
them
so
on your
energetic,
website.
too.
Yes, go to the website, sign up for Monday videos. We send them out every single Monday. I only make those on Monday because integrity is so important. So even though they go out maybe 2 weeks later, they were made on a Monday.
Oh, I love that. Because that was a question that I was going to ask you about those is like, how do you record them? When do you? But you record them on Mondays.
I used to get up at like 4:30 or 5, get all the lights turned on, get my makeup on, and make the Monday video. But it just became too much work. And
It's
so
a lot
now,
with the like words and stuff because you have the
Yes.
text that goes across
right,
too.
all the transcripting and all of that. So now Drew Korf's team with Voyage does that for me. And they do such a great job with it. But I make 3 or 4 on a Monday. When I'm inspired, I have to be inspired. And
Yeah.
I'll pop out a couple and then they get them.
and then they're scheduled and good to go.
And I have to
On
tell
Monday.
you, she's not reading from anything. I've helped her record one. She literally just has like a topic in her head and then she just talks. And I think that's why they're so valuable to people is because they're
And they're
just
short.
genuine conversations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I never know for sure what's going to come out of my mouth.
I think that's the awesome part of it.
Right. But yeah, they are very fast, one-take wonders. If I take it twice, I always am giggling. I'm like, I had to do it twice, but it's a one-take wonder. Yeah.
No, that's
I
great.
love that.
And we can do a giveaway, right? So we
Oh,
can give
let's
away.
do.
Yes, let's do a giveaway. So a giveaway of a coaching session and a What's Next book.
Yeah, I'd love to have somebody just jump on with me and do a We'll do it 50 to 90 minutes, whatever
Wow,
they need
that's
to figure
really
out what their next
generous.
is.
Thank you.
Let's talk through their next.
And that's a $150 value plus the books.
Right,
So
plus
really
books.
a deal. So if you guys just go and comment your favorite part of this episode on our latest post on the Vault Instagram page to be entered to win that amazing giveaway with Karen. So that's a coaching session that's valued at $150, and for What's Next, the What's Next book and the Quiet Leadership book as well. So thank you, Karen. It's been a ton of fun having you. And thank you for joining us.
Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing.
You're amazing. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault_201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye.